culture is everything. People want to be part of culture. People travel. When people travel, you go to Italy, whether you think so or not, like you're like, oh, I want the food. Oh, I want to go experience the people. I want to go experience, I want to see, I want to hear the music. I want to see the art, and I want to like see the architecture. And like the culture is what defines a group of people. And so if your culture is rich and awesome, when people walk into your restaurant, they're going to feel that. They're going to feel it, and they're going to want to be a part of it, and they're going to tell their friends. They're going to tell their friends. And there is no better form of marketing. Period.
Than word of mouth.
Period.
How do you translate that into what is a very different business that you're running today that isn't about creating a public space for people to come in as much as it is a product that, you're shipping? It's a D2C sort of thing for the most part, right?
It is 100% D2C.
So walk me through Creatures of Habit and how this came about and what you're trying to achieve here.
Well, I got to rewind back to that plan that was given to me almost 20 years ago. And Marcus and Gavin sort of agreed on this plan to deliver to me and said, hey, you're going to wake up, you're going to take a piss, brush your teeth, wash your face, hit your knees, put on your running shoes, go for a walk, and you're going to have a bowl of oatmeal. And I sold equity at Seymour's in 2019. The pandemic hit in 2020. My career as I knew it was kind of over in terms of brick and mortar business, restaurant.
Were you still living in the city at that time?
I was still living in the city. And I said, oh my gosh, like I felt obviously, I was grateful that I had sold equity before the pandemic, also a little guilty. But I was like, what the hell am I going to do? I am a restaurant guy. I know restaurant well. I know in real life, before the pandemic, IRL wasn't even a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like now I'm like, oh, in real life, like I know this hand-to-hand combat, man, me and you, I can sit here and talk to you forever, right? That's how I am in the restaurants. I like touch every single table. That's my sweet spot. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do? Donna and I had decided, that's my wife, we had decided that we were going to pack up a bag. We had bought a house about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours out of the city in 2012. And we said, hey, this is pretty bad down here. The kids aren't in school. Let's go upstate and we'll see what happens. So we moved into our house upstate. So grateful that was the decision that we made. And that bag just got bigger and bigger. And then finally, a year in, we were like, okay, sell the place in Brooklyn. We're upstate. But those first 3 months were really stressful for me because I was like, man, I'm going to have to figure out my new path forward. Mm-hmm. I hired an executive coach who is a wonderful human being. She basically helped me to see that restaurant was a medium for me. And I'm a creative entrepreneur, a creative human being. I can build culture and business and environments, product, service, whatever. Like it doesn't matter the medium. I can do what I do.
Was that a breakthrough to realize that it wasn't about restaurants, it was about being this creative person who was always iterating on that creativity or sharing these ideas that you were coming up with?
100%.
You didn't have the awareness of that prior to her. Yeah, no. That's interesting.
Yeah, I did not.
Yeah.
She was slowly just sort of giving me the confidence that I was looking for. And my creative process for the last many years has been silent running. So I like to go out and take a pen and pad, a little piece of small pad and a pencil, and I'll go out intentionally on 5 to 7 mile long runs with the intention of, let's figure this shit out, man. Let's figure it out. And, I don't have my phone with me. I'm not listening to music or podcasts. I'm just like, I'm literally trying to dig. And originally, I was going to open up a restaurant called Creatures of Habit. That was sort of like my next plan. So Creatures of Habit was already in the mix. But when the pandemic hit and there was no way forward there, I was like, I want to use this Creatures of Habit thing because it felt like it was a wellness restaurant. And the idea of Creatures of Habit was going to be, I'm going to open up this wellness restaurant, and the restaurant is going to, the trajectory of scaling this business was going to be through consumer packaged goods. I was going to make products inside the restaurant that we use we would use as sauces, we would use as breakfast items, whatever. And we would have a little retail area in the restaurant, and then whatever people were grabbing or buying or taking home with them, we would then invest money in and grow it in consumer goods. And so I had that idea already that was going to kind of be like what the future was, but nowhere near it. I had no idea what I was going to package up. But I knew Creatures of Habit was the name, because I am just an absolute creature of habit. I just am. I mean, I find something I like, I stick to it, for real. I was out on a run, and I was thinking about what the hell I was going to do. And I was like, it came to me.
Just get rid of the restaurant part.
Yeah.
Go right to the products part.
I knew that was the case, but I just didn't know. I knew that I was going to draw a line through the restaurant. I had a feeling that I was going to still be in food, and most likely it was going to be consumer goods, which is what I'm in. When anybody hears CPG, that means consumer packaged goods. When anybody hears DTC or D2C, it's direct to consumer. I said, what the hell am I going to sell? Like, I know how to sell an environment. I know how to sell a service-oriented experience. I just don't know how I'm going to be able to sell my magic in a fucking product.
Yeah, but you're a storyteller. You're a born marketer too.
Well, what happened was I was on this run, and it came to me all like on one run. And I said, my oatmeal, it's been eating this stuff every single day at that point, it was 2019. So whatever it is, 15 years. I mean, I've added stuff to it over time, but I got it down to a science, and it takes me 20 to 30 minutes to make every morning. And I love it, and I crave it. And it's like, I love it. And in that concoction is, well, at that point, glyphosate wasn't even a conversation, but it was now, it's gluten and glyphosate free oats. I always added 30 grams of plant-based protein to it, chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, and pink Himalayan salt. So the way I would do it would be I'd take the oats, half a cup of oats, 2 cups of water, like 8 twists of pink Himalayan salt shaker, tablespoon of chia seeds, teaspoon of flax seeds, and like a handful of pumpkin seeds. And I would cook the oats with the chia and the flax, low and slow, like make it, let them really, really cook and soak. Then I'd steam it. Once it was like steamed and was the right consistency, I'd add my protein powder to it, and I'd stir it. And then once I felt like that was right, I put my pumpkin seeds in, and the pumpkin seeds would stay crunchy and crispy. And that was my morning. And then on the side, I always had my omega-3 fatty acids, probiotic, digestive enzymes, and vitamin D3. And that was sort of like my supplement stack for years. And I was on that run, and I said, holy shit, man, if I can figure out a way to get all that into a pouch, I not only am going to be able to sell a habit that I've stuck to for so long, that has literally kickstarted my day with nutrition, that I feel really strong about, that I stand behind 100%. It's a full meal. It's not a snack. If I could sell that, not only will I be able to give somebody something to potentially change their life because it was a catalyst in changing mine, but I could tell my story. And honestly, the only reason why I'm sitting here today is because I launched Creatures of Habit. And that's the truth. Creatures of Habit has given me an opportunity to tell my story. And the restaurants didn't give me that opportunity. They allowed me to tell the restaurant story. The stars have aligned for me in this idea and this mission of being of service and being able to tell my story. And so I came home. I said, Donna, I'm starting an oatmeal business. She's like, oh my God, what are you doing now? And I said, no, I'm doing it. And I put $250,000 into a bank account that night. And I began the process and spent a year working on the formula, pitched it to Gary V eventually once I felt like I had it, and I created this cool line of apparel to go with it. Gary was like, this is Kith meets Quaker. Let's go.
Kith meets Quaker. Did he put money in?
First check in. Yeah, first check in.
He's a mensch, that guy. Well, what I think it is, yes, it gives you this opportunity and this reason to tell your story, right? Because it's so ingrained and integrated authentically into who you are. It's basically, the wax and wax on, wax off, right? Like this is the thing, this was this tool, this piece that goes all the way back to those early days and is still a part of your life, which speaks to what persistence and consistency can render with even the simplest habit over time.
I needed something to sink my teeth into, pun intended, at that time in my life. I needed a win every day in the morning. I needed it. And now what I've learned about these habits and fitness and nutrition, and ultimately now mindset's a big part of my life. But what I've learned for someone like me, and I would imagine also someone like you, the ability to control wins is powerful. And I don't mean winning the race. I mean these small little wins that I can stack up that make me feel accomplished. And eating healthy, for me, major, massive win.
It's an esteemable act.
Major, massive win. There's no surprise that when your life, even though you were sober for almost a decade, when your life really changed, it was on the back of making a food-based decision, right?
Yes.
Like you started, we are what we eat, literally. And those guys gave me that gift early on, where they were like, what you put into your body is ultimately going to dictate what you do. It will. And I believe that. I know what I put into my body generally dictates how I feel and the actions I take. One of the most intimate relationships human beings have is with food. It goes into our body, literally, and metabolizes, and then either gives us energy or kills us. There's no more intimate relationship human beings have.
Mm-hmm.
And so we take that for granted, right? I know that the food that I put into my body is either going to give me energy, make me feel good, or take energy away from me and ultimately kill me. And I choose the better. I choose the better. And so that's where it started. And,
It's beautiful, man. When did you start it? When did this, 2020, 2019?
Ideate 2020, launched the business in August of 2021. And, we've been in business about 2.5 years. And it's going really well. We launched with Meal One, which is the product I just said. It's an overnight oats, 30 grams of protein, plant-based.
And then you got the nightcap, which is the evening.
Nightcap is the way to wind down.
Bring me down. Yeah.
It's like a cup of hot chocolate about an hour and a half before bed. Tastes really good and really great ingredients, So.
But it's a lifestyle brand. I mean, you have a podcast by the same name. You got the merch and the apparel line and all that kind of stuff. I can tell, you can see the seeds of a bigger idea that's still in gestation right now that is probably swirling in your brain.
Yeah.
He looks at me with a shit-eating grin, right?
I mean, it boils down to commitment and consistency, breeding confidence, breeding courage daily.